accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show. As always, we are presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Stoked coming up in 2 hours. We are going to have a very special guest. Rob Adams with Thanksgiving Heroes is going to join us. The Advocates today kicking off all of their efforts. And really, they've been doing it all year long. But we are really trying to push and help them get awareness out for the youth in our communities that just don't have food on a daily basis. Rob Adams, Thanksgiving Heroes, coming up at 8. As always, presented by The Monty Show, or The Monty Show is presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. When you get in an accident, you need clear, risk-free advice. That's what you get from The Advocates. Chaplain injury attorney live online 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. So, yes, we are going to talk about
Stay hard.
Ohio State. But Jake is losing his mind in the pre-show meeting today over Gisele Bündchen. And why are you so upset that she's pregnant?
Because I think that Gisele, I think that if you are on this show and you remember the conversations we had,
how could you not?
We talked in depth about this, about how, she had met this dude, this jiu-jitsu trainer, Joaquin Valente.
Jiu-jitsu?
Trainer. By all reporting, before they were divorced.
Gisele does jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Say that fast 10 times.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you're convinced she cheated on Tom Brady with this jiu-jitsu instructor, and now they're going to have a baby. The jiu-jitsu instructor went brown belt on her, and they're having it was an arm bar. And
yeah, he went 3-4 technique on her on the mat, and everything was square. So it just annoys me. It bothers me that it wasn't good enough. Like you were what bothers me about it and stands out to me is that it wasn't good enough to be married to the best quarterback the NFL has ever seen. A guy by
she
all
was married
accounts,
to Jim McMahon.
By all accounts. Was thrilled, with their family up until the last 2 years. Was happy, everything was good, and basically
Tommy refused to retire.
Yeah, which is what I think is ridiculous. I think that you shouldn't be forcing someone to stop playing the game they love because you're unhappy. Like there has to be some level of compromise there, and that's why it bothers me, because I think it was just a play to do what she wanted to do instead of thinking about, what it would be like to put her kids through a divorce.
I think when I look at Gisele Bündchen and I look at that was an ugly divorce, people chose sides. You clearly have chosen sides.
Yeah.
But if she wants to go to Barbados or wherever they went and got on the mat together and
Florida.
Okay, same thing. Barbados, Florida. Who hasn't confused the two? But my point is, listen, if she wants to go and live her life, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I will agree with you. My belief is that she was not faithful to Tom Brady and that her and this guy got into a rear naked choke together before they were divorced. See, I just keep working in MMA references and
macaque.
I'm thinking that's funny. But the point is,
He's got no class.
Yeah, I think that she was engaged in extramarital wrestling with this dude, in my opinion, before they were divorced.
And it would be different. I would have no problem with this if this was Like, hey, clearly I met this person after the divorce was
yoga
over.
instructor after the divorce. We namaste'd together. Like, you downward dog. They nothing.
Here I am.
Nothing. Okay. My point is, I agree with you. If they had gotten divorced, and what do you tell your kids? Because you made a really good point. What did you say in the meeting today?
I don't know. What are you referencing?
Thank you for being part of the show. Yeah. Jake said in the meeting today, I thought was a really good point. Well, she met this guy because she hired him to coach her kids.
Yeah.
And then she went and made kids with him.
Yeah. The it's not clear how, because the reporting is that her son, specifically her son, had introduced her to this Joaquim guy. And so it seems to me, again, it's not been specified all the way, but it seems to me her son had been taking lessons from this dude, and that's how these two had met.
And then she started taking
and then the infamous, hey, I'm doing taekwondo on the mat with my dude picture came out.
Karate, please.
Yeah, came out, and now we're here. And so I just don't love the idea of, hey, had a family, everything was great. I've got more money than I'll ever need. That's not good enough. I'm unhappy because Tom won't retire. So let me go ahead and do this. Now, if Tom Brady had done this, we'd be sending his ass out to pasture and saying that he was a horrible human being. And that's my problem.
Could you not have found a better picture than this of Gisele?
What do you mean? They're walking down the street, dude.
That is a terrible picture of her. Like, whatever those pants are, don't ever do it again. I think it is very interesting that you look at Tommy's Insta Snap face story, and he seems heartbroken.
Hello, Instaface.
Like, do you guys know what those lyrics are from? You don't know what that's from.
Yeah.
Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love?
Hot ass.
It's Stevie Nicks, who I had a massive crush on as a kid. He seems heartbroken. That's what that says to me.
Yep.
And I don't know. You're telling me that Jizzy's all in love with this dude, and
well, they're not married.
No, but sorry, Mr. Virtuosity over here. I assumed since there was an exchange of DNA and now a flower has been planted in the garden and it is germinating, that there was love and
stuff
in whatever and things. And you're right. They're not married. I think this is two things. We massively and unfairly judge women for getting pregnant. It's what we do in this country. We're going to talk about her promiscuity, and
I see. For me, that's not what it's about. I'm not upset she's pregnant.
You're upset it's not by you.
No, but I'm upset. I'm upset that it was not done the proper way. I don't have an issue if Gisele said, hey, I'm unhappy, that you're not retiring. I want to get a divorce. And then, sometime later on, this had been formulated.
So it's a moral thing.
It's a moral issue.
Yeah, it's a moral compass thing.
Let me get this right. Not only did you divorce Tom because he wouldn't stop playing the game that he loved, not only did you not consider your kids in this decision, in my opinion, you said, hey, I want a divorce. We'll figure the kids out. And this is the dude I'm riding with. That's what bothers me. If you had done it the right way, we wouldn't be talking about you having another kid.
Okay.
That's
dude, you're really upset about this.
Yeah, I just don't think it was done the right way.
So Jake walks into the studio this morning, and it's cold outside here in Salt Lake City, and he's wearing a life preserver, obviously, because he's going sailing and stuff. But the point is, he walks into the studio today, and we sit down and we're getting unpacked and whatnot, and he's like, Gisele, I'm disgusted that
stop crying like a little girl.
Like, you're just so upset about it.
Yeah.
And I love that you're upset about it.
Dude.
I love that you're so upset about it. Like,
she's pregnant.
And by the way, jiu-jitsu instructor, Mr. Roll Around the Mat with Married Women, dude.
Hey, jiu-jitsu guy.
Is just as at fault in this situation.
Yeah, you loser.
Douche.
She's pregnant. It's
Like,
disgusting.
come on, bro.
Bruh.
You're just so upset about it.
Guy is
And
low
I'm
class.
here for how upset you are. I'm here for it. We'll come back to Jizzy and her antics with the jiu-jitsu bro.
And it sucks.
It does. And donuts. Gisele went for the long ball. Okay. So Gisele is having a karate kid.
Yeah, right.
Daniel LaRusso and
right.
I don't regret those decisions.
Okay. Yes, Jay. She needed some Daniel LaRusso in her life. Okay. You know, the Chad Carter. Read show title. Yes. Next question.
I get it.
Okay. Vorlon Angel. What is up? Good to see you, Vorlon Angel. Especially when we're talking about Gisele being pregnant out of wedlock.
This is the day you choose to come back.
Okay. That's fine. Loner phone. Tom did leave a pregnant woman, so intact family was not his priority then. Apparently it is now. You know. Christopher Shannon, hello. Yeah, when you cheat on your husband and get pregnant, that's a problem. It's degenerate. But why are we assuming she cheated? I mean, I believe she did, in my opinion.
The reason that I assume she cheated is because we know for a fact, based on reporting, based on the pictures, based on the timeline, that you knew this dude before you got divorced.
Has she converted you to a Tom Brady fan?
No, I was a Tom Brady fan before. I was a Tom Brady fan when he was a Patriot.
Are you more of a Tom Brady fan now because she cheated on him and she is pregnant?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a yes.
I mean, I want Tom to do well. You know, I think that, you know, the whole broadcasting thing for Tom is still a work in progress. I think, you know, it's funny to me that we've graduated from saying he sucks at broadcasting and now people are picking on his vocabulary. I think that's hilarious. But, you know, it just is, the whole situation didn't need to go this way. It didn't need to be a thing where, hey, like, you know, I'm going to go and publicly be with this dude and make it pretty clear what went on. Like, she's not speaking on it because she doesn't need to speak on it. Like, the message was sent. It's very clear what went down here. We're not stupid. Like, you know, so it just is.
But now,
we know
tell you what
happened with you.
Like, what bothers me, the fundamental issue is there's no respect for who Tom is, and there's no respect for the fact that like.
So she moved on from Tom Brady, got pregnant by another dude, and now there's no respect for who Tom is.
No, it's not that she just moved on. It's how you moved on.
Yeah.
It's the timeline.
Like she broke up with him over text.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
I think it is low cash. It is. Force Ghost Fabio, who...
Here we go.
Have you gotten over the Utah obsession you seemingly had? Have you... I mean, all this cat does is come in the show and comment about Utah.
I mean, he's as consistent as Gisele is with jiu-jitsu trainers, you know?
Yeah. Hey, look, I get it. Oak State is... You're, you guys have nothing to hang on to. Speaking of pregnancy, what do you want to say about Oak State?
No, so James tweeted at us yesterday after the show.
Oh, yeah, and he got railed for it.
Dude. So James tweets and says that we twisted his words, quote, like a pretzel. No, dude. Your words were on the screen, bro.
No, we didn't. It's just maybe Oak State fans, outside of Kay Sumbry, who I think has handled their crappiness pretty well. But Force Ghost Fabio, who is an Oak State fan, just can't get over Utah. Like, your obsession is amazing.
Stay hard.
Gisele is for the streets. Stay hard, Monty. Okay. That's
sure
cool.
thing, Slick.
That's cool. All right, let's start the show. Speaking of big games, the Ohio State, Ohio State versus the Sex Assaulters in the game of the year in the Big Ten so far. I think this is a huge game. And oddly, I think the games of the year have been Oregon and now Ohio State and Penn State. And I think that one of the biggest questions is Ohio State disappointing this year? I don't think they are. And there seems to be this belief, and maybe it is just preparing yourself for loss. I have no idea. But Ohio State fan seems resigned to a loss at Happy Ending Valley on Saturday, which I am not convinced of. I think this Ohio State defense is elite. It's one of the top 3 defenses in the country. I think the talent they have on that roster, I think the way they are coached, the way that they play the game, the chip on their shoulder defensively is remarkable. Have they had issues on offense? Yes, they have. And it is all, in my opinion, based on the offensive line not living up to standards. And I think if you look at the struggles that Ohio State has had running the ball consistently, I think that is the single largest issue going on in Columbus, is that they have not found a way with 2 really good running backs. The Ohio State has not found a way to consistently run the ball, because I'm going to make the argument, and I'll die on this hill. Will Howard, I think, has been better at Ohio State than he has been at any other time in his college football career. I think he's one of the top rated passers in the Big Ten for a reason. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Obviously, we're going to all point to the Oregon game and the run down the middle of the field as the clock expired. But by the by, the issue for Ohio State has been their inability to run the ball. But Jake, is it too strong to say that Ohio State football has been a disappointment this year?
No, I don't think it's too strong to say that. I think they haven't lived up to the expectation. I think that losing to Oregon like that was disappointing. And I think that this Penn State game is your entire season. It is the beginning and the end for multiple reasons. And yeah, I do think the offensive line is one of the major problems when you look at Will Howard's stats and what he's been able to do and what he hasn't done. A lot of that is because he doesn't have a lot of time. You look at the running game. The running game for Ohio State is not what it typically is. And you've got huge talent back there. So for me, I do think Ohio State's been, somewhat disappointing when you think about their expectations, but the reality is it's all still in front of them. You think about the path to winning a national championship and the path to the college football playoff. This is one of those games for Penn State where you have to have this, or for Ohio State, you have to have this against Penn State. You have to be able to beat Penn State, secure your place in the Big Ten, secure your spot in the college football playoff. And then obviously you'll go from there. But if on Monday, after the weekend, we got to talk about how the O-line didn't perform, you weren't able to run the football, Will Howard was under pressure all day, like that's obviously not gonna lead Ohio State to where they want to go. And I just sit here and I say year after year, like Ryan Day is a great head coach. And I think for all the people who want to die on the fire Ryan Day hill, I think you don't appreciate who Ryan Day is. You don't appreciate where your program is at under him. I understand being upset with the lack of national championships. I understand, being upset with, hey, we haven't been able to beat the best of the best. But the reality of the situation at Ohio State right now is you're making more money in your football program than anybody else in college football and college athletics. And you are in the college football playoff conversation seemingly every single year under Ryan Day. And every single year, Ryan Day has the opportunity to right the ship. And I think that situation for Ohio State is what so many fans struggle with. Hey, we're there every year. We just seemingly can't get over the hump. So I think, is Ohio State a disappointment, or have they been disappointing? Yeah, I think they've been a little bit disappointing this year. With that said, though, I think if you beat Penn State, I think if you go to the college football playoff, you can put all of that to bed, and you can still have a great season coming out of the Big Ten. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think everything that Ohio State has wanted, everything that Ohio State has worked for is right here in front of you. When you go to that crap hole in Pennsylvania this weekend, and you visit the most morally bankrupt, lacking in ethics or any kind of character university at all this weekend, and you go and you win that game, I think it is a stamp of approval on a long list of things that you have to accomplish. It is, to me, not the beginning, but it very well could be the end. If they lose that game, I think their chances of making the college football playoff for Ohio State are 43%. If they win that game, it goes up to 91%. If you look at the sentiment of who's in and who's out, I mean, it is no longer a sure thing that Ohio State's going to the college football playoff. And it is shocking that Indiana has the same, level of confidence that Ohio State has. That is shocking to me, that you put those, those wreckers of childhood ahead of Ohio State. I'm running out of things to say about that terrible university, but that you have Penn State elevated as a lock for the college football playoff. Beyond disgusting. It is shocking that Ohio State's not there. It is shocking that, and I don't necessarily agree with this, I think it is a lock that Texas, I think it is a lock that Boise State is going. I think it is a lock that Georgia's going. I would be really surprised, really, really surprised if any of those teams didn't get into the college football playoff. Would it be shocking if Miami somehow found a way to not go? Yeah, it would. It would. Because their schedule says they should go. Oregon's schedule says they should go. If you are a fan of childhood and innocence and, living a virtuous lifestyle, you should probably be rooting for Ohio State this weekend.
Right. Yeah. I think that, this graphic clearly is pointing out the fact that, you have no loss and one loss teams, right? That's what we're talking about here. And that's what the graphic is built on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You look at everybody under the Penn State, Oregon, Miami line, and all those folks have lost. And I think that, the hard part is that I feel like when we ask this question of, is Ohio State disappointing this year? Part of that question needs to be around your reputation, because I think for Ohio State, that's the issue, is that when you look at graphics like this or other ones that are, predicting the playoff, like you look at those other teams and you're like, yeah, Georgia's getting in. Most years Bama's getting in. Like LSU is a fringe playoff team that, sometimes gets in and sometimes doesn't. Like I can look at a team and I can say, hey, this is your reputation. What is your record and strength of schedule say?
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're being forced to do with Ohio State this year. But I think if they beat Penn State and they do that on the road and they can do it in a I would love to see them beat Penn State by like 10 points. If you can do that, that basically fixes all of this. That proves to everybody, hey, you guys put Penn State up here on this pedestal and we just took them down. And our only other loss is in a really tight game against Oregon at their place. So you can't have it both ways if you're someone who doubts Ohio State. You can't say that hey, this is not a good team, but then not give them credit for the fact that they're playing all these big ass road games and it's a more difficult situation. And I think that's why you need to win this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really difficult to go there and win. I think Penn State has a lot of momentum right now. I don't think it matters who they start at quarterback. Obviously, Drew Aller's dealing with a knee injury. I think that it's going to be rough. But if you look at what is in favor of Ohio State, going to the Fighting Paternos in Happy Ending Valley, and I'm not going to give up on it ever. They're only giving up 250 yards a game. They are a dominant team against the run. You look at just about every statistical category, they lead the Big Ten in defense. And whether it is 163 yards passing a game, whether it is, the fact that they only give up 91 yards a game, they're very good. They are very good. And across the board, I think they are the best defense. And I think they have that going for them. Now, offensively, there are some questions to be asked. They're still putting up 471 yards a game. which is wild to me. But that rushing attack at 188 yards a game needs work. And it is now, having said that, consider I think they've only played 7 games. Most everybody else in the league has played 8.
Right.
I think that matters. They've only scored 282 points. They're averaging, 40 points a game, but I also think it matters who they've played. It doesn't matter to me that you dropped 56 on Western Michigan. It's far more interesting to me that you gave up 32 to Oregon.
Yeah, well, and I think those 32 points you gave up to Oregon were great throws by Dylan Gabriel. I mean,
they were.
I think that was the big takeaway for me in that game. Was hey, Dylan Gabriel, is a great quarterback. Understands how to place the ball for his receiver. Understands where to go with the football. And I think anytime you play a great defense, you have to have great quarterback play. And that's what I'm looking for out of Will Howard against Penn State. I'm looking for hey, step up into the pocket and deliver, because that's what you're going to have to do going on the road. We know that Ohio State hasn't been able to run the ball, at a really, really high rate, like high enough where you can overcome, a mediocre passing attack, let's say, on any given week.
Yeah.
And that's your problem in this game.
That's going to be a tough game Saturday. And the thing that I would continue to drive home is you lost to the number 1 team in the country. If that is your only loss, what is disappointing about that? And Ohio State fan, I understand. You don't have the vibes that Indiana has right now. You don't. I think it is a very interesting season in these leagues. You look at the top of the Big Ten, you look at the top of the SEC, you look at the top of the Big 12 is a great example. You have Oak State and Utah at the bottom, and you've got BYU at the top of this league. Shocking. You look at the standings in the Big Ten right now, Indiana, Oregon are on top of the league. And you have historic powers like Ohio State, 4th in the league, behind Sandusky State.
But, all of it in front of them.
It is. It is all in front of you. And I think when you look at this game, these are the games that Will Howard is meant to play in. This is why Will Howard went to Penn State. And I think one of the things that's very interesting is Will Howard is not holding back his feelings about the Fighting Sandusky's.
I'm stoked. It's going to be a homecoming for me. I grew up a Penn State fan. I wanted to go there my whole life. They didn't think I was good enough. But I guess we'll see next week if I was.
He's ready. He believes that the Fighting Sandusky's did not think he could play college football. They told him he wasn't good enough. And somehow he found his way to Ohio State. That was not accidental.
Nope.
And it's why I tell everybody, Will Howard was never going to BYU. Will Howard was going to wind up in the Big Ten at a place where he could beat wholesale Sandusky ass.
Yeah.
And that's Ohio State. And he's got arguably the best defense in the league and one of the best defenses in the country behind him.
And he's got one of the best wide receivers in the country.
I think the best
Jeremiah
wide receiver
Smith is an absolute stud. And again, it has to be talked about. The concerning thing when you played Oregon was the lack of execution later in that game. Even in the 3rd and 4th quarter, not the last 2 minutes. There are multiple times where, down and distance situational stuff where I'm like, man, let your best guy eat. Let your best guy go out and make plays. What's the point of having, a quarterback like Will Howard who's got a cannon and not feeding your best wide receiver? And no, I don't care if they're playing man over. He's better than you.
17 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's number 2 in the league in rating, 183.9. Will Howard's having a good year.
Yeah.
Again, I go to the offensive line. That's what I think it is. What do you guys think is Ohio State? The direct question is Ohio State disappointing this year? I don't think they are in any way, shape, or form. Daniel Dixon, hello. Maybe Big needs to play 8 conference game like the SEC does. Well, I think if you look at Ohio State's schedule, they hadn't been tested going to Oregon, which was a big mistake in my opinion. if you're truly elite, play an elite schedule. If you look at Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State, Iowa, that was your slate before Oregon. You go to Oregon, you don't execute because it's the first time you've really been in peril. And then you have Nebraska and you struggle against Nebraska. And so now you're going to, that terrible institution that doesn't do anything to protect from sexual assault on Saturday. And are you really prepared for that environment? Well, I would think going to Eugene prepared you for that environment. And that's why I'm going to pick Ohio State to win that game on Friday when we do our picks.
Yeah.
And I think that Ohio State matches up exceptionally well against that Penn State offense. And we'll see how it all plays out. You're not going to have the luxury of, if you're Penn State, you're not going to have the luxury of breaking off big plays to your tight end.
No. And I think that the other thing to consider, too, is that obviously travel is not really a big deal here, right? I mean, this is, by Ohio State standard, this is down the street.
No.
So, I think that the Oregon game, that was a lot of travel, huge environment later in the day. This is, hey, we're going to get there the day before. We'll be fresh. We'll be ready to go. And you're off and running. And I think that, to me, I don't know, like it's easy to pick Ohio State in this game, but the thing that really concerns me is the execution out of the play calling for Ohio State. They tend to, and it's Ryan Day and company, obviously, they tend to get a little conservative. They tend to not just go right at you the entire game. Like, if I'm Ohio State, I've got Quinshon Judkins in the backfield. Obviously Henderson. You've got Jeremiah Smith out wide. Like, you've got dudes. Like, give it to them and let them go beat the hell out of Penn State's defense. Like, that's what this game should be about. This should be about, hey, we understand our offensive line maybe isn't the best in the country, but we need to be committed to running the football early and grinding Penn State out and then letting Jeremiah Smith make big plays. That's what it has to be.
The best offense they saw at Penn State this year was USC, who scored 30 points on them. They have not seen a prolific offense outside. They have not seen a capable offense. I think we all know what's going on at Wisco. I think UCLA sucks. Illinois isn't a great offense, but I would remind you that was a 21-7 game. Kent State, Bowling Green, and West Virginia, who fired their defensive coordinator yesterday, by the way. They haven't seen a prolific offense. Is that a good win at West Virginia? Absolutely. Is Ohio State by far, not close, the best team that the Paterno pedos are going to see? See, now I'm like,
yes.
now I'm matriculating down the field.
Right.
It is by far. And Donut says, we'll be playing from behind now. They'll overcompensate, and that could spell trouble.
We'll see.
You would think. Steely, the offensive line is a major issue this season. Rests on State Penn U. Yeah, exactly. If you've got to have a better ability to run block. You need to run the football. It is as simple as that. Yeah. And I'm not worried about Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's had one really big game, and it was USC, 17 for 224.
Mediocre ass defense.
And I'm telling you, I just believe wholeheartedly in this Ohio State defense. I love it. I think they're talented. I think they're deep. And I think they punish people who are morally bankrupt losers like the people at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Probably too much. I love this Ohio State defense. Avery Johnson's throwing arm. Penn State is overrated and OSU will roll them. Speak it into existence. Bronco McFord. Feel bad for Tom. Karma catches up with everyone.
Hold on. Did you just say that because he was good at football, he deserved to get cheated on?
Or because he deflated his balls and they were soft and spongy like that he deserved to get cheated on? Or are you saying karma will catch up to Jizzy? We'll see. Troy, go Buckeyes, go. Penn State hasn't shown me they're able to hang with Ohio State. We'll find out soon enough. I'd worry about your house before you worry about what, the pedos are doing. I think that there's no question Penn State is a really good football team. And I don't care who the quarterback is. I would actually hope it's Drew Aller because I think that's an easier win. Welcome to the nightmare. I thought we were keeping the banner from yesterday. I mean, we can. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Well done, dude.
I can't stand Penn State. I can't stand Penn State. Let's see. Dan Davis, Oregon is the standard. Okay. Jimmy Otson, Ohio State loses to Penn State. They still go to the playoffs. They don't.
Nah.
I think that's going to be very difficult because you look at what's ahead for Indiana. Anyway, it's Michigan State, Michigan, and then Purdue.
Oh, I win. Google me.
So what happens if Ohio State loses to the pedos? They are now 6-2, 3-2 in the league. You're not going to play for the conference championship because even if you beat Indiana ain't losing to Michigan State, Michigan, or Purdue. That's not happening. Oregon looks like they're going to run the table. And Penn State, it would at that point would be 5-0 and 8-0 in conference with Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland left.
Those are all wins.
You're going to really struggle at that point. And I think Oregon doesn't have, in my opinion, a tough game left. At Michigan, Maryland, at Wisco, home for Washington to end the season.
Yeah.
So you're out. You're done. I don't see any way. When you're on par with Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisco, your season's over.
I do think Ryan Day gets fired if they don't go to the college football playoff, though. You need to be going to the playoff.
I think you have to make a change at that point.
Yeah.
There's just no way to spin it.
Yeah.
Vorlon, Penn State has a pretty easy road after. Yes, they do.
Yes.
Sandusky Tech, tough at home. I like Sandusky.
You're
Tech.
a homer is the first part.
Yes. Indiana wins out but loses the Big Ten championship. They still go to the playoffs.
Hey, you're one lost team at that point.
That's close. I think you could be right. Glenn, good morning to you. Welcome to the nightmare. Will Howard has a chip on his shoulder for this game. It's personal for him. It is personal. And I took that personally.
Yeah.
He did. Don't we have that drop anymore? And I took that personal. The Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Drop that we used to play drops on the show. We don't anymore. And donuts. Boise blowing 2 special teams plays and Oregon winning by a last-minute field goal at Autzen looks better every week. If Boise keeps winning, it only helps Oregon. But, we'll see. Lopes fan Gabe, like button casuals. Yes. What are our statistics like after 41 minutes? We have about 700 views and 23 likes. Come on, let's go. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. You're all snowflakes. Okay, Dan. Okay. Well, always average to see you. What are you upset? What could you possibly be upset about?
What an average ass take, dude. Is
You're
that
all
the best you have, dude?
Pedo State has only beat one top 25 team so far this year. They barely beat SC. Not sure the rating they have is justified.
Hey, but barely or not, you beat them. And
we'll find out.
I would point out you beat them at their place.
We'll find out. Harry Austin, hello. How's San Antonio? Bronco, no. Tom obviously cheated on Bridget Moynihan with Gisele. What goes around comes around. Okay. UW fan Jim, look around the world. No such thing as effing karma. Okay. Boy, we're kind of on the edge this morning, folks. Like, you guys okay today? You all right? Fat old Mormon and dying. Pedo State are frauds until they prove themselves and finally win a big game, which they haven't done under Franklin.
Facts.
And hopefully they don't. You know. Understand why they're ranked how they are every year. You don't understand why they're ranked. Okay. James, do you need a referral to a divorce attorney or what are we doing? Bro, you tried to get on Twitter yesterday. And I don't know, if I can, I have a lot of notifications. Good Lord. I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but here it is right here. I happened to scroll right down to it. Oak State James yesterday. Let me escape that show. Whoa.
Google me.
See. Yeah, Google me. Oak State James yesterday, who is OSU cow country.
Nice Gandhi reference there, bro.
OSU cow country on the old tweet machine.
Right.
He showed up yesterday on the show and said that his wife was delicately that she's not hot.
We show up.
He puts this in the comment section yesterday.
Right.
And he got his ass beat for it, frankly, by the comment section. Then he got on Twitter and Twitter beat his ass for it. You know. Why can't I?
Man, dude.
Why can really? Man, our syndication software has not been good today. Here it is. And then James says, this is what I was trying to say before the Monty Show twisted my words like a pretzel. My wife looks good with no makeup or a little or a lot. She's not high maintenance like Lane Train's gal. What? What makes you think Lane Train's wife or girlfriend, it's a girlfriend, and she's like, she might be 18 years old in a day. I think she's 27 or something like that. What makes you think she's high maintenance? What makes you think she's a problem? This is what I asked you yesterday. What makes you think she's a problem? My wife survived last year's homecoming at Oak State, 38 degrees, raining and cold. She's a keeper. If you find someone who is a good person on the inside and out, you'll be happy, Jake.
Look at me.
You know.
Yeah, dude.
We probably, you know.
We didn't twist your words, James.
No, we did not.
You paid to comment what you paid to comment.
And
that's
right. That was
unintended consequences.
That was a paid comment.
You know, so it is what it is, man.
And I will also, just because it's so incredible.
You couldn't have picked a better screenshot of what I was doing to the mic right there, bro.
Oh, you were just practicing for what was going to happen when
you couldn't have done me a little better there.
I'm not no. I was going to make a Gisele joke there, but I'm not a jiu-jitsu.
See, that's the problem.
I'm not a jiu-jitsu instructor.
Right.
I would love to show you what James said yesterday. Here it is. This is what James said yesterday. I'm going to have to remove his comment. Then I'm going to have to remove the banner. We were talking about relationships yesterday or whatever. And James just rolls in here with a $5 paid comment.
Which, thank you. Again, by the way, thank you.
Do what I did. Find a woman who can cook and like sports. You don't need, quote unquote, a hot girlfriend who is high maintenance like Lane Train. Like, just the assumption that she's a pain in the ass is what is remarkable to me.
Well, and people were wondering if by saying your girlfriend wasn't hot, that's what you actually meant. Like, that you don't need, because you had said there, you don't need hot, high maintenance.
Yes.
You know, and people kind of,
ran with it. It was amazing.
They deduced that you were then saying your wife wasn't hot.
I'm not going to say that because I refuse, but read Christopher Shannon's comment and then see what Jake is doing.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
I get it. You need to practice. I understand it. James is officially not celebrating hump day ever again. Exactly right. Travis, James, what is your Mount Rushmore of IPFs in the Big 12? It's amazing. Fat old Mormon and dying. Remember, everyone, James's wife isn't hot per Upper Deck, per Dr. Upper Deck. Exactly
sources.
Right. Dr. Upper Deck. Eric and Raleigh, how is James still alive? Yeah. Yeah, you know.
So that's what I'm saying, James. I don't feel like we twisted your words.
I don't think we've twisted your words at all.
I feel like we read the comment, we talked about it, and, you know.
It is what it is.
Yeah, things happen.
And no, Eric in Durham, I will not read your last comment. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. You know. Oak State James, please read what I said about the Ohio State. They will be in the Big Ten title game and will be at Oregon in a rematch. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see.
I just wanted to share your greatness so that
We
everybody.
by the way, we did read your comment.
I did read your
Yeah,
comment.
we did read it.
Well, I didn't. I put it on the screen. I didn't. It's far more entertaining to go back in time and remember your awesomeness.
Yeah.
You know. Do I think that Ohio State will beat Penn State? I do. Do I think that that puts them in the college football playoff? I don't. Because I think if they don't go to the conference championship game, somebody's going to have to sell Ohio State into the college football playoff. Because I think one of the interesting dynamics at play here is what happens if Iowa State and BYU run the table? And let's say the Ohio State beats the, Paterno Pedos. Indiana and Oregon are probably going undefeated.
Yep.
Right? I would think. But again,
you can't have what we have to say is you can't have a one-loss Ohio State team is not getting in over an undefeated Oregon and Indiana team if BYU and Iowa State are both undefeated.
Does Ohio State beat Indiana Thanksgiving week? I think that's a huge question. Do they win that game? Is Indiana everything that we believe they are?
I'm not ready to say that yet. I want to see them against better competition.
Well, here's Indiana's schedule. Then they're undefeated. I would remind you 8-0, 5-0 in the conference. FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA. Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington.
They haven't really played a big-time opponent yet.
Their road games they've only played 2 road games. Understand that. They're 6-0 at home. Their 2 road games are Northwestern, who is, I think, the worst team in the conference.
Yeah.
And Washington, one of the worst teams in the conference. They're 2-3, and they're a 500 football team who's going to have to fight to go to a bowl game because they've got USC, Sandusky Tech, UCLA, and Oregon. And I think they probably only beat UCLA. So I'm not even convinced Washington's going to be bowl eligible. All of which to say, I don't believe that Indiana's really been tested.
Right.
And obviously they haven't played a close game this year. But now you've got to go to Michigan State. Michigan State's not good. You're probably going to torch Michigan because they suck. And then you're at Ohio State and you're home for Purdue. You guys understand they legitimately this year play 4 road games. That's it. And their road games are UCLA, Northwestern, Michigan State, and Ohio State. That's it. So I don't know that we know if Indiana's good or not. I mean, they're 8-0. They're undefeated. I'm going to say they're good.
But it's the same. See, I think that's an exaggeration. Like, yes, they are undefeated, but is that not the Big Ten every year? I mean, is there not a team in the Big Ten every single year who's undefeated playing nobody and then loses the one game that they have to win? I mean, how many years have we said that about or Michigan or Penn or like?
And I go back to the Indiana question. If Indiana loses to Ohio State and does not go to the college football playoff,
because I agree with that. They need to be undefeated. Like, they're not a team that's getting the benefit of the doubt.
I think if they lose to Ohio State, they don't get in.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I don't think they qualify for the Big Ten championship game. And I'm surmising that Ohio State beats Penn State and Indiana. It'll be Oregon and Ohio State in a rematch of in the Big Ten championship game. And whoever is the Big Ten champion, they get a bye week. So everything for Ohio State's still ahead of them.
Yeah. And
I'm a big believer that if you're not tested and then you got to go to the shoe, you're going to lose that game. And I think if Indiana's not going to be tested, and then they're going to show up in Columbus with an expectation to win. And I think the other thing is, isn't this the case of Cinderella's slipper?
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the guys on ESPN, oh my God, Indiana's this great story. And
you're a homer is the first part.
I mean, we got to bring game day there. And you do? Who have they beaten? And I understand that Kirk Cignetti wins, and you should Google him.
Oh, I win. Google me.
I get it. You haven't beaten anybody. I don't think that either Penn State or Indiana has proven much. And this all goes back to, I think this league is not one of the premier greatest things we've ever seen that people try to make the Big Ten out to be.
Yeah.
And I understand this is an SEC show. They're not close to the SEC. They're not. If we're being honest about the Big Ten, are you really telling me you believe the Big Ten is an elite league? I think if I look at the Big Ten, Oregon's elite. And then nobody else. Nobody else. I think they're the lone team that you're like, God damn, that's a really good football team.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's trying to prove that over the next couple of weeks.
They are. But look at the trash heap.
Yeah.
Below Ohio State at 3-1. And then consider that Indiana and Penn State are the other two undefeated teams. That league's not good. And if we go to the Big 12, it's the same thing. That league's not good. And huge news for Texas Tech with Baron Morton.
But see, here's the difference. And this is something we can't just skip over.
Yeah.
The Big Ten being mediocre, they've got nameplates.
Well,
Oregon,
no, they have control of the
Ohio
college
State.
football playoff.
But
That's what they have.
Why do they have that control? Like, why do they have that control? Because we're talking about Oregon and Ohio State, and we're talking about national brands. Like in the Big 12, I love BYU. I love what's happening there, but they're a cup below that from a notoriety standpoint. They're not doing 10 million views.
BYU, Iowa State, K-State, and Colorado are all small programs.
Yeah. Compared to Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan and, Penn State,
Georgia,
like,
Bama,
Georgia. Like
small. And then you look at the SEC, and I say to myself, A&M with that defense, and they've played people. But don't forget that Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they lost to the beloved to open the season, but they beat Missouri. Okay, you're going to say injuries, but they've won on the road at the Swamp. They've won on the road in Starkville, and they beat LSU. And they've got ahead of them Texas.
Yeah.
If they run the table and beat Texas, they're legit. They'll be a top 5 team at that point, right? So I look at the SEC and I say to myself, okay, I think Texas A&M is good and is going to be able to prove they're good. I think Georgia's elite. I think Texas is elite. I think Tennessee's elite. I wish Tennessee would score more points. I think they have an offensive problem. I think LSU is trash. I think Bama's average. So once we get below Tennessee, I think you're in the hall of very good, which is different because I think in the Big 12 and the Big 10, everything below the first 2-3 teams in those leagues is garbo.
Yeah.
In the SEC, LSU can beat anybody. Bama can beat anybody.
Your boy, Ole Miss, can beat anybody.
And Lane Train can beat anybody. And his defense is really good. Yeah. Shockingly, they haven't scored enough points.
Yeah. How many losses does Ole Miss have right now?
2.
Yeah.
But who are their losses to? Kentucky, and they lost that game to LSU on, I'm not even going to complain about it. But
that was a night game, Monty.
The problem for the problem, if we're being honest, Ole Miss doesn't have a quality win.
Yeah. But again, and this is the point, still got Georgia in front of you.
Yep. And the problem is Oklahoma's not good.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma were good and you beat them down, you could be all right, cool. Oklahoma's not good. Don't believe they have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the biggest issue. But you've got Georgia in front of you. You've got the problem for Ole Miss is they've got to go to Arkansas and they got to go to Florida. And they've got Georgia and Mississippi State at home. They're not going to the playoff. That's all over with. Not with those 2 losses, not without any quality wins. Now, if you want to piss America off, well, let's talk about Alabama's case. Because Alabama's got 2 losses. The only problem is one of their losses was to a number 11 Tennessee club. And again, I would point out they have wins over a number 2 Georgia team, number 21 Missouri, and they've got LSU at LSU coming up on November 9th. And if they win that game, guess who's back in the pole position?
Yeah.
And you don't have to like it,
but that is the reality of it.
And they're gonna pound Oklahoma in Norman. And Auburn is not good. Auburn's 1-4 and 3-5. Bama's probably going to win their last 4, and it's going to be really close if they get in.
Yeah.
Because Brian Kelly is a ratchety old barnacle of a football coach. And again, I know you don't have to like it, but the SEC is really good. The SEC is really good. And if I look at right now today, if you asked me, if you said, hey, who's going to the college football playoff? Well, if I had to guess right now, today, I would put Oregon, Georgia. Who's going to win the ACC? Probably Miami.
Miami will.
Who's going to win the Big 12? I'm going to take Iowa State. I think those 4. Right now, if you have to ask me today, those are my 4 teams. After that, I'm taking Ohio State. I'm taking Texas, right? That's 6. That's half of your league right there. I think Notre Dame probably gets in because they don't have much left in front of them. That's 7. A&M's going to get in for 8. I think, does Clemson get in? I think that's tough. I think that's
really, really tough. They're undefeated?
No, they're 6-1.
6-1? Yeah, they probably don't get in. Because they're going to play Miami for the championship.
Yeah. I think Bama gets in. I think Boise State wins the G5. They get in. And then the question is, if Clemson doesn't get in, do you get a 1-loss BYU team in?
Yeah, I think you do.
Only if they go to the conference championship game.
Pull up the graphic again. Pull up that graphic we have one more time. And this is my point with this graphic. But look at where they put BYU. Right there in that great chance category, second row all the way on the right. So what this graph is saying is that they believe more in BYU's path than they do Iowa State's path, or any of those other teams. So
yeah,
I think that's what's difficult, and I think this is why we need the Super League. This is why we need a system that clearly defines, hey, you're going to do this on the field or you're not getting in, because then I can look at this and I can say, okay, cool. BYU is going to match up with A&M and winner moves on, or whatever. That's why we need that. But for this year, I would actually pick BYU to win the conference. I think they're playing great football. I think they've in a head-to-head with Iowa State. I really like that offense's chances. If I'm getting good Aaron Roderick play calling like I did against UCF, I like your chances.
There's a long way to go.
There is.
BYU's got a tough schedule, mainly because you still have Utah ahead of you in less than 2 weeks now. But I think it's going to be tough to keep Clemson out if they're a one-loss team. But I got to believe they go to the conference championship, right?
Yeah.
And if they're going to the conference championship, they're going to be a 2-loss team that went to the conference championship. Because I just don't see
But are you really let me ask you this: are you putting a 2-loss Clemson team in over, let's say, a 2-loss Bama or a 2-loss Ole Miss team?
Probably not.
But
the ACC is very interesting. I just don't think Pitt's elite.
No.
Everybody, and I think most people agree that Pitt hasn't played anybody. And I know that there's a lot of Pittsburgh fans who are like, oh my God, Pitt. Kent State, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a good win. West Virginia, Youngstown State, North Carolina, Cal, and Syracuse. And the biggest issue is you were in position to lose the West Virginia game.
Yeah.
Right? You're at SMU this weekend. Virginia, Clemson, at Louisville, at Boston College. You have to run the table. If you lose to Clemson, it's over.
Right.
Right? But then I look at SMU, who's 7-1 and 4-0 in conference. I mean, they have better wins. SMU, their losses to BYU. Now, the problem is that was at home. That was in Dallas. But TCU needs to win games if you're an SMU fan. Louisville's a good win. Stanford, Duke. But you probably are going to eliminate whoever loses the Pitt game, Pitt SMU. Which the problem, and this is what I wonder about Pitt SMU. That game's on the ACC network. If a mouse farts in the ocean, does anybody notice? I don't think that's the actual saying. Who's going to watch that game? Who even has access to the ACC network? Who even knows that they have access to the ACC network? I think that's a huge problem. TV. And after that, Boston College, at Virginia, and Cal. That's what SMU's got remaining.
Yeah.
So I think it's win or go home in that game, right? Because the one-loss Pitt team's not getting in over anybody.
No.
And I think you're ultimately going to have Miami and Clemson. Because I would assume, and this is a big assumption with, name, image, and likeness guy, Clemson should beat Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, the Citadel, and South Carolina.
We built this program on NIL.
I think Pitt's going to have an awfully difficult time getting in.
Yeah.
So there you go. There endeth the lesson. You're welcome. Boise's getting in for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Habitual muffin. Dabo Swinney's going to be coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars next season.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
That could be interesting. Loner phone. Pitt goes 11-1 with loss to Clemson and do not get in championship game. What about Pitt? Why would you put Pitt in the championship game? And why would you put Pitt in the college football playoff? At that point, you haven't played anybody, and the one team you did play, you lost.
Yeah.
You're not one of the 12 best teams in the country. And the end of discussion, right?
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. IPF King. The Big Ten gets Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. That's almost impossible to happen. That would be almost impossible to happen. Because if Ohio State's getting in, they would have beaten Penn State, and then they would have beaten Oregon. Because they're only getting in my opinion, as a one-loss team. That'll be the only way that I think if you lose to Oregon and Penn State, you're not getting in. You're not getting in. Because at that point, Penn State and Oregon are going to the championship game undefeated. And I don't think you're getting 4 teams in from the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, I think that would be a really tough. If you got into the Big Ten championship game, one-loss team, and then you lose that game to Oregon, and now you're a two-loss team. I mean,
it'll be close.
I mean, I tend to lean towards them getting in on bias, like, hey, a two-loss Ohio State team couldn't find a way to beat Oregon twice, but both games were at Autzen. Like, I agree, it would be really close. I think that it's murky water at that point. I think that I would agree that this scenario is not going to happen. You're not getting 3 in that way. That's not going to happen.
And for instance, in such as in like, your take on Texas, Georgia, Bama, and Tennessee. Well, Bama's got to get a lot of help. Like, for instance, what if Alabama beats LSU next weekend, Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn? Okay, well, what is Tennessee's case? Because Tennessee has Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia. That game's in Athens. Do you really think Tennessee's going to Georgia and winning that game?
No, they're out. Two-loss Tennessee team's not getting in.
UTEP, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I understand it. You're just looking at rankings, but where you're ranked on October 30th doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, you got to project forward to what your record's going to be and when you lost.
You cannot lose.
Yeah, you can't lose in November.
And here's the other problem. What if Tennessee goes and beats Georgia? That eliminates Alabama pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it's awfully difficult to make that argument. Iowa State, ACC gets Miami and Clemson. Notre Dame is in Boise State G5. Yeah, could be. Could be.
Yeah, see, I think that BYU and Iowa State are going to get a look, and I only say that because I don't think that Bama's getting in, and I don't think Tennessee's getting in, and I think that Georgia and Texas are going to be the selections from the SEC.
I'm going to be interested. Is Texas weak? Is Texas weak? I mean, 7-1 Texas.
I don't think they're weak. I think that the problem for Texas right now is that display you put on against Georgia left a lot of questions to be answered. It left a lot of, like, it wasn't that the talent wasn't there for Texas. It's that
you were lifeless.
Like, Kirby dominated Steve Sarkisian in that game. The defense came out and dominated you. Like, the disguise, you just got out coached. Plain and simple. Like, no other way around that. So I don't think that the committee is going to look at Texas and be like, yeah, Texas is brutal. They're not getting in now. But I do think Texas has some proving to do. I think Texas needs to solidify their reputation.
I would agree. I think Texas, and I would also point out that Texas only has one game left, and that'd be November 30th at Kyle Field, Texas A&M. That's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle.
But think about that resume. If you're a one-loss Texas team, you're in the college football playoff, man. Like, I don't care that you lost to Georgia. You're in.
I don't know that you do have a resume. Michigan's Garbo, right?
But at that time, they weren't.
They were 10th.
They were ranked. And that's
you
a road
beat
win.
Oklahoma. You lost to Georgia. You beat Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. It'd be tough to keep them out.
One-loss Texas team is in the college football playoff.
And the question is, but does then who goes to the SEC championship game? If Texas goes undefeated the rest of the way, that means that they beat Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Which would also mean that Texas A&M, their 2 losses are to Notre Dame and Texas. They're getting into the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting into the college football playoff. You can just write that down.
How is that an auto? How is that just assumed?
Because that means that you beat LSU, Missouri. Both were ranked at the time.
Yep.
And your only 2 losses are to two of the arguably best teams in the country. And you're Greg Sankey, and you have more pull than everybody else has.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be very difficult.
I mean, I think they have a case to make for sure. 100%.
Which is, I think, what we're all doing.
Yeah, I think The problem is that if Georgia's a one-loss team, at that point then, because if Texas beats A&M and gets to the championship game and loses to Georgia, that means that both Texas and A&M are two-loss teams. And at that point, you're picking on resume and you're picking on reputation. So if you're the committee, you're sitting here saying, okay, Georgia's the SEC champion. We've got Texas and Texas A&M. I don't think there's a fourth SEC team there.
If Alabama had beaten Tennessee, this would be a different conversation.
Totally.
But they didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Stadium guy James is spot on. Okay.
Yeah, James should change his name to IPF King. I think that'd be a great name, dude.
Yeah. You could be right. RJC Man says that's a bad take. Okay. Who has Pedo State played? Who has Ohio State? Well, Ohio State played Oregon, and they're going to play Penn State. And it doesn't matter what you think. Penn State's one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Yeah.
That's a good win, And I think, we'll see. Stadium James is spot on. Okay. There's a chance only 3 SEC teams get in. I think it's highly likely.
Yeah.
Only 3, because Alabama's going to need.
Alabama's the team that's disappointing this year.
You need, if you're Alabama, in my opinion, you need Georgia to mess it up. And Georgia's got some games, boys. Florida, and then you're at Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then that big one against UMass.
So you see what I mean about Lane here?
Massachusetts.
Lane is perfectly positioned to wreck Georgia's season.
Rectally. I agree. So if you're Bama, you need Georgia to lose. And if you're Bama, you need Tennessee to beat Georgia to make your resume that loss not look as bad.
Well, if they lose both, like let's say that Bama loses, or if Georgia loses Ole Miss and Tennessee, their season's over. But that ain't happening.
They would be a 3-loss team. I don't think
that ain't happening.
Meanwhile, Tennessee has Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, and Vandy. That's going to be tough, right? And if you're Bama, you also need LSU to. That's tough, man. Like you look at that Bama LSU game, knocks one of them out because one of them is going to be a 3-loss team after that.
Yeah,
night. So that's going to take care of itself. I think that Tennessee Georgia game takes care of itself, especially if Tennessee loses that game. But if Tennessee loses that game, Alabama's done. Okay, you can't have it both ways, man. Like the math ain't wrong. D-Rock Irish, hello. SMU minus 7.5 versus Pitt. Holstein questionable for the game. Yeah, and I just think that Pitt is unimpressive to anyone. Who's going to fight for Pittsburgh?
Nobody.
I just think you don't have a way unless you just do you. Run the table, win the ACC championship. Okay, you're in. That's your only way to do it. Habitual says, no way Bama doesn't get in this inaugural college football playoff season. Well, it's the expanded college football playoff. The powers that be won't have it. Bama's not likely to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, 3 losses is you're done. That's it.
Yep. Loner phone. Boise will not get in over 11-1 Pitt now. Well, Boise's probably going to win the Mountain West and be the highest ranked G5 champion. So, yeah, they're getting in.
Yeah.
If Pitt wins out and loses to Miami, they're in. No, they're not.
Yeah, you're not.
No, they're not.
Dude, the ACC's not getting 3 in. That's not happening.
What argument can you make that Pittsburgh belongs in the college football playoff? You're in a bad league that people already don't like. You're 18th in the country right now. And your quality win is probably West Virginia. Or Cincinnati's probably a better win because it's on the road. But you haven't played anybody, and you damn near lost to Cal. And now you're going to Dallas, Virginia, Clemson. You're probably going to be a 3-loss team here. I understand. I'm assuming you're a Pitt fan. That could be the only reason you're making this argument. I have no idea.
I think it's pretty lofty to assume they're going to run the table from here. Like,
yeah. He also says, you think 3 teams from the ACC are getting in? You're out of your mind. What 3 teams are getting in?
Well, he's clearly saying Pitt, Clemson, and AC or and Miami.
You're out of your mind. 1 Big 12, 3 SEC, 4 Big 10, and 3 Group of 5. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Eric and Raleigh, it's a struggle to justify 1 ACC team.
Yeah.
Truly it is. Only lost to a top 5 program. Pitt's only loss would be to a top 5. You're going to lose at SMU. You're going to lose at Clemson, and you're going to lose at Louisville. What top 5 program? Okay. Yeah. And this is why your loaner phone. Habitual. To be fair, Miami more than almost lost to Cal. Well, they did. They did.
But again, what's the difference? See, here's the problem for Pitt defender. Miami has a Heisman Trophy candidate on their team.
Miami's a story.
Yeah, Miami's a story. Miami is nationally recognized. Miami is a school that has a brand. Like,
and I agree. Miami hasn't and will not play anybody of consequence until the championship game.
They haven't lost a game.
But it is what it is.
It's
what I always say that Mike Smith hates, but you don't have to like it. You just better learn to love it because it is what it is.
And by the way, I can easily say, hey, Miami against, whoever it would be in the playoff, Miami would be right in that game. Like, you've got Cam Ward, who's having the season of his life.
Yeah. Dude, and I'd remind you, the ACC is not a good league.
Do I think Miami's winning a natty? No, I don't. Do I think they can win a CFP game? Yes, I do.
Yeah. Georgia Tech firing, come on.
Yeah, what happened to all the Georgia Tech bandwagoners?
Well, Jake, they beat Florida State.
Man, wow.
Lost to Syracuse, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Virginia Tech. And I would again point out, Louisville is better than people are giving them credit for. Is Louisville a world beater? No. Their losses are Notre Dame, SMU, and Miami. So they lose to good teams. We'll see. It's all in front of us. There's so much to be played for.
I just think the angle is tired, bro.
And the idea that 3 Group of 5 teams are getting in is hysterical.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about realistic ways to win. Prize picks. We're on a bit of a heater. We are on a bit of a heater, and I would like to punch Max Muncy in the face. Why did you bring a bat to the plate last night, Max? Can we talk, bud? 1, 2, or 3 on a flex play last night. Won $25 because Freddie Freeman. Throw him a hanging cutter. That's great. Juan Soto, base hit, actually a double, and then scored a run to give me 2 or 3. And I love it. Did anybody else notice that they updated the Prize Picks app?
Beautiful.
Look at how much nicer the Prize Picks app is. Like it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
So here's what I got tonight in the World Series.
Nobody cares.
Well, I do. Okay. Freddie Freeman on a demon, 1.5 total bases.
Yeah, you have to.
Tommy Edman on a demon, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And Garrett Cole, more than 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, I'm worried about Garrett Cole. I'm worried about Tommy. The problem with Tommy Edman is he's a St. Louis Cardinal alum, so screw you. What about Aaron Judge?
Had a better night last night.
Was that because it was a bullpen game? I mean, I think that's a legitimate question.
Who is it tonight? Is it who are they pitching tonight? Jack Flaherty.
Jack Flaherty starts tonight. Jack Flaherty starts tonight.
Probably
he of 6.10 ERA.
Yeah, but he's been good for them. He had a really good game 1 start.
He did. I think if I look at hits, runs, and RBIs.
I don't know. Here's the question. Do you think the Dodgers ended tonight? Because last night was like obviously the, hey, we got to save face and win a game type ball game for the Yankees. tonight's the night where I would expect the Dodgers to be trying to end the series.
I think Garrett Cole is an awesome big game pitcher. And I think they're going to have somebody other than Freddie Freeman beat him because Garrett Cole ain't making that mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you got to go with a guy like Teoscar Hernandez, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And then I think if you go to pitcher strikeouts, I think with Garrett Cole, I think you're more because I believe in Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is not the hero we deserve, but he is the hero we need. And nothing. Okay. I think that's. I'm going Garrett Cole. More than 5 strikeouts.
That's the demon, right?
No.
Oh, that's just a regular?
That's correct, sir. Thank you. Freddie Freeman, 1.5 total bases, and Teoscar Hernandez, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You're welcome.
There you go.
How much have you loved the Major League Baseball playoffs? I'm actually sad they're ending.
Yeah, it's been sensational. I still think the Dodgers-Padres series has been the best series of the playoffs. I think those two hating each other was outstanding for the game. Little disappointed in the World Series. I am sad that it's going to probably come to an end.
Why are you disappointed, though?
Well, I'm disappointed because it's just not lived up to it. I mean, the Dodgers getting out to a 3-0 lead in the series. The Dodgers seemingly just being better than you. The Yankees seemingly making mistake after mistake to Freddie Freeman. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you would continue to pitch Freddie Freeman low and in. Don't understand why, you would continue to make mistakes to him. He's burned you time and time again, repeatedly. So, have I been disappointed in the World Series? Yeah, a little bit. Do I want the Major League Baseball playoffs to come to an end? Not really, because that leaves me with LeBron talk, and that leaves me with college football talk, which we do every day on this show already. So it's just one of these deals where we do the show, you work all day, do your thing, and then you've got baseball, playoff baseball on the tube at night, and you're like, yes, let's do this. And that's why I would be disappointed for the playoffs to end. But I'm tired of people saying that the playoffs in baseball are not, don't live up to it. I think that the Major League Baseball playoffs in totality have lived up to it. Like I said, I think that Dodger-Padres series was elite. I think the Yankees-Guardians series was phenomenal. And that Yankees-Guardians series is actually what I was expecting out of Yankees-Dodgers. I was expecting more of the same. Slugfest, high-scoring game, that type of performance, and we just haven't gotten it.
But, Jake, now you get to watch more of the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, God, I'm just so excited to turn that waste of time on. Man.
And Taylor Hendricks I think this is going to be his breakout year.
See what he did there?
I think that's HIPAA.
I saw the back angle of that.
Yeah, no, I'm good, dude. Nope.
Utah Jazzman. Yeah, Utah Jazzman, Taylor Hendricks running down the court. And I had seen the side angle where his leg does a left turn, and that was bad enough. The angle where the camera is facing him. Nah, bro. I don't.
I'm fine.
Why do we have to show broken legs from 78 different angles? All right, well, let's see. Can we get an angle from the jock strap down near the fibula? No, we can't. Well, let's get an up-close zoom. I love this NBCI tool where we can zoom in and see the bone. You can actually see it coming through the skin.
I want more.
No, I don't want more. I don't understand, why do we need to see that?
Yeah, we don't.
And when Joe Theismann broke his leg and we showed it 27 different ways back in the day.
Come on, man.
Mayor McCluskey, I can't watch his leg snap in 8 different places. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude.
And I don't know why we do that. Utah Jazz practice jerseys. Your thoughts again?
What are we doing?
Their uniforms are horrendous. Charles says Aaron Judge homers tonight. Let's pull out the old Prize Picks machine. Download the Prize Picks app on your phone. The update on the Prize Picks app, beautiful. In Major League Baseball, Aaron Judge tonight he's 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs.
He's on a demon for 1 home run, though.
Does Shohei Ohtani get a hit tonight?
Also on a demon for a home run.
I don't think he gets a home run tonight.
Now, that shoulder is not good.
I think you know what, Charles? That's not the worst take in the world. He's due. I mean, he's gaining a reputation as a guy who chokes in big moments. The eye patch. The Dodgers have no choice to end the season from here on out 3-1. You have to win tonight. If this goes back to LA, now it gets to be nervous time. Steve Stepanek, I can't watch bones being broken. It's terrible.
It's gnarly, dude.
It is.
Ligaments tearing is one thing, but dude, when your leg is sideways, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. And let me check the track record here, boys. I have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Stupid Ashton Ginty. Killing me. And I lost that Flaherty, Garrett Cole Juan Soto one last week.
Yeah.
That's the last time I lost.
There is a lot of volatility in Jack Flaherty tonight. I'm just telling you guys now.
There's no volatility in the NBA tonight, though. The NBA has been so good. The start of the season has been really good. There's a couple that I like. LeBron James, LeBum, LeCap.
LeBrick
is 23.5 points tonight for LeBrick. But how about my guy Anthony, the MVP of the NBA so far, the defensive player of the year, Anthony Davis.
After the street clothes, Davis.
My guy's balling out, kind of like Gisele. And
wow, bro.
The rack attack. What?
Wow.
Anthony Davis tonight, 43.5 points, rebounds, and assists versus Cleveland.
The land.
I
actually like that a lot. Cleveland doesn't have Evan Mobley's all right, but
am I really? I'll go there. But what about AR-15? Austin Reeves. 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. How about Donnie Boy? Donovan Mitchell. Donnie, you prick.
Yeah.
34.5. I'm going to take that more. And then Labrum. LeBum, LeCap, 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's hit that only twice in his last 5 games. I'd
probably stay away from him.
I think I'm going to.
I think I've hit it every time.
I think you stay away from LeBum.
I mean, I'm almost like Notre Dame.
I think I am. Josh Giddey, who likes him young, 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Juicy. And I do think you're such a jerk. I'm going to go Paolo Banchero. 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Flex play, that means you make 3 selects. Here's the formula to win, and I win almost every night. And that has nothing to do with
I think I've hit it every time.
Unlike James, I married a hot woman who's my girlfriend.
You ought to know. You bought it.
Anyway, so I'll win in the IPF tonight. Don't worry about that. On Prize Picks, make 3 selections. Play a flex play. That way you only got to get 2 or 3.
Right.
My flex play tonight in the NBA, Anthony Davis, 43.5 points, rebounds, and assists more. Donovan Mitchell, the greatest Jazz player ever.
Let's wind the clocks back a year.
34.5 more. And then Paolo Banchero, 40.5 more. We're doing this thing.
Yeah, do it.
You know, we're doing it. All right, let's get some of your comments in here. Brandon Butler, hello. It's sad state of affairs that all of our sports hopes in Utah are currently resting on BYU. But the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, dude, what happened? Like, man, wow.
The Clayton Keller,
right.
The jersey that doesn't have a name on it. It's
right.
It's SEG, and you can buy a package.
Yeah, and you can do multi-view now, Jazz and Utah Hockey Club at once.
Yeah. And Real Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I got the YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Mayor, anyone taking Caruso at 0.5 point, 1 rebound, 1 sweaty headband, and 12 turnovers? I thought about
hot ass.
You know. Geoff, Judge pulls in Ofer and chokes again. Ohtani comes in clutch. LA finishes New York off, and it's done. I don't think Ohtani can swing the bat. He cannot hit a high fastball.
His shoulder is.
I think he's got a labrum issue in that shoulder.
Yeah. This whole have your hand up here while you're running the bases thing, that's not good, dude.
You can see he cannot grip the bat. And that's got to be tough, dude. That's your top hand.
Yeah, he swung through a high fastball last night and grimaced.
It is his left arm.
Yeah.
So it is, if you're a left-handed hitter, that's your top hand.
Yeah.
So he's one-handed right now, and that's a tough place to be. I think wherever James is, he doesn't have internet because his wife disconnected it. I think that's true. He was here earlier. No, Steve, I did not. Yeah, I did not run it off. He's a Texas A&M fan anyway, so
he's busy trying to figure out how to change his name, I think.
San Diego State Glenn says go Suns. That's fine. Let's talk a little NIL real quick. Has NIL been good for college athletics? Did you guys see the Ross Dellinger story? That the settlement with the NIL litigation, I think we all knew it was going to have unintended consequences, right? I think we all knew the NIL settlement was going to have unintended consequences. I don't think we all knew that students who were on track and field, cross country, swimming, field hockey, and lacrosse would pay such a heavy penalty. Because according to reports, mainly from Ross and the gang over at Yahoo Sports, you have students who were on scholarship, were enrolled in classes, getting email notifications that they were being ripped and that they were no longer on the team. No longer on a sports scholarship. You're no longer on the swimming team. Best of luck to you going forward. And why is this? Because in the NIL house settlement, the NIL lawsuit for back pay, essentially, against the NCAA, in the settlement, you trimmed rosters and you made walk-ons pretty much a thing of the past. And so what happens in college is you have Title IX. So there has to be equity when you are making cuts. So cuts are happening across the board in Olympic sports. And swimming, for instance, has been decimated with scholarship offers, with walk-on offers, with spots on teams being taken away from athletes after they've already enrolled in class. Jake, it feels wrong to me that that's how this is going down.
For sure. And I think that, this whole situation where kids who have pretty much nothing to do with this other than they're an athlete and they go to school, paying a price for this is where I think you're going to have a lot of people taking issue. And as part of the reporting, there's this situation, if we want to call it that, going on where the estimated number is about 20,000 parents of students that this happened to are essentially protesting this settlement. They're going to sue and they're going to object to the settlement, and it is going to go to court. And I think that this is kind of what we talked about when this settlement came down, that there were going to be things like this that are still going to have to get ironed out. You're still going to have to figure out how to make this work for everybody. Because again, this conversation around, hey, there's more available scholarships for the football program, but because of that, we ripped rowing scholarships. Like playing a shell game with the total allotment of scholarships in your athletic program and ripping it from the non-revenue generating sports is not a suitable solution. That doesn't work. You might as well just not play the sport at that point. You might as well just cancel volleyball, cancel rowing in the Olympic sports. But we all know damn well the school does make some money on that, right? The athletic department is bringing in revenue on that, not profitability, but revenue, which ultimately helps you become more profitable. So I just think this idea that this settlement was gonna come down and there was not going to be any ripple effect was unfounded. That's as Spoelstra said all those years ago, it's the untrained eye telling you what they think. You don't look at something like this and say, oh yeah, this is going to be perfect. We're not really going to have issues. That just doesn't make sense. There's too many people involved in this thing that are not employees. They're not in a real defined space. They're being given an opportunity to play collegiate athletics because they're so good academically.
Yeah, I just don't see this as a situation where you can have it both ways. I think you're going to lose some of these athletes, and you're going to have high school kids that don't have opportunities they once had, because you can't make everybody happy. That's just the reality of it. There's too much money that needs to go into basketball and football, which is where you make all of your money. And you're never going to cut stick and ball sports, in my opinion. I don't know how you fix this problem with cross country. I don't know how you fix this problem with swimming.
I mean, it could be
field hockey.
It could be as easy as time just needs to pass. I mean, time heals all, right? Like, it could just be a thing where you're going to have to take the black eye for, probably 5 to 7 years. And
is that what Gisele did?
No, she did not.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Just I was a little confused. So when you said
anyway,
that was
right.
Butthole.
Yeah.
If you missed the Gisele story, that's coming up in about an hour. I think it is. Steve Stepanek says, I think this will hurt the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't think it will hurt. I think this will hurt all of the G5s. Because if Ohio State wants to have a rowing team, they're going to have a rowing team.
Right.
Period.
But I think this settlement for an Ohio State level athletic department is going to make them ask just how bad we want a rowing team. Right.
Yeah.
You're going to ask, how bad do we want chess club to continue?
Habitual says these colleges are just going to get sued and things will go back to normal. They will never go back to normal.
No, the old system will never return.
Such a bad look for these schools. They're going to get sued so hard. I'm sure they will. But again, you're going to have to prove that you broke a law to win that lawsuit. And I don't think you're going to be able to prove that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's not illegal to remove scholarships. That's the thing. I think people think that this is like you're not paying somebody. That's not what this is, right? Like, what it is the school saying, yeah, okay, we have more costs here. We need to reshuffle our scholarships. That's just the unintended consequence.
San Diego State Glenn, you can't call the drop mixer a new toy of Jake's, but he sure is playing it hard and on point today. Hashtag Jakey Herbie Hancock. Do you know who Herbie Hancock is?
No.
I didn't think so.
Macaque.
Okay. Eric in Charlotte. This is how it always was always going to go. When you make sports a business decisions have to be made.
100%, dude.
It sucks. Swimming is such a vital part of college athletics, and it's such a vital part of our Olympic program. And not everybody belongs. And I think that's the hardest part of this. You're not cutting your best swimmer, your best lacrosse player, your best cross-country runner.
Nope.
You're probably cutting incoming freshmen. You're probably cutting your last person on the depth chart. That's the reality of this. Because 9 days out of 10, does anybody even know that swimming practice is happening at USC or UCLA or Michigan? Probably not. You don't ever think about it because it doesn't make you money. Wow, that's brutal for college athletes to get scholarships taken away via email for nothing they did wrong, especially after already enrolling in classes.
Yeah, that's the
Terrible.
problem, dude. Yes,
it's terrible. Stepanek, do you think it will spread out the talent in football? I do not. Football's not going to change. I think it's going to.
Oh, this is a move to support football.
Yeah, this is going to do the opposite. It's going to consolidate talent. It's not going to spread it out in any way, in my opinion. This is going to be devastating to all sports other than football and basketball. Well, I think if your sport has a TV contract, again, the College World Series, I always go to stick and ball sports.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do anything to damage that TV contract, that revenue. And baseball and basketball and football and softball, and they make you money. When's the last time you watched a college track meet?
I think the only time I've ever watched, legitimately, the only time I've ever watched a college track meet is when they do the Nike has a sanctioned event with the NCAA at Oregon, and I can't remember what the official name of that is, but they have like a whole thing they do, and it's on ESPN.
Yeah, it is going. What it's going to do, you're going to weaken a country today, Caffey.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's going to hurt our Olympic sports.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, the stadium guy, James, the donors for the big schools will give so schools will have Olympic sports. I wouldn't count on that. I would not count on that. I think that if you are a big school, you already have the budget to maintain. You're not doing this because you can't afford it, in my opinion. I think a lot of this is you're doing it because you can, and it's an opportunity to save more money. I think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if James, if you're right. I mean, does somebody dig up, Boone Pickens and shake out more quarters so that you can have a lacrosse team? Because swimming's not going away. That's the other thing I think people got to remember. Swimming's not going away. The depth in swimming is going away.
Yeah, we're talking about not having, we're chopping that down from 10 scholarships to 5. We're reallocating, roster space essentially. Because the way you got to think about it is athletic department, right? In sports terms, athletic department is your front office. And then you've got all these different departments below that have their own budgets and, allotments of scholarship. And so all we're doing, the best way I can describe it is they're playing a shell game where, hey, we're going to take 5 shells from softball, 2 shells from swimming, 4 shells from lacrosse, and we're going to throw all those in basketball and football. And then that's going to allow us to continue doing what we need to do in those sports because those sports make us the most money. So little Jimmy, who got the Sweetheart Scholarship deal because of class, how good they do academically, he's not getting that deal anymore. That's not happening.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's not happening at all. And it is, I think it's very difficult when you look at the Olympic program is what I will be interested to see. Like, does this help IMG Academy? Does this help the prep school? Does this help I think it absolutely helps swimming because I know swimming culture a little bit. This is going to help your Southwestern swimming schools, your Arizona States, your swimming factories. This is going to help them.
Yeah.
This is not going to help because you don't know like who's the best track program in the country. I don't know either. Who's the best cross-country program in the country? I don't know either. But trust me, they're going to keep running.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the best of the best will always have scholarships.
Right.
This hurts the bottom feeders, the kid on the line. Like in football, the example would be this hurts the kid who's only on the team because, man, he's fast when he's running down on kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Or it hurts your third string long snapper. Like those specialty positions. Because most people on a football team, your long snapper only long snaps. That's it. So if you had 3 long snappers in the pipeline, you're only going to have 2.
Right.
And one's going to dress and the other one's going to get a partial. Like stuff like that. That's who's going to get hurt. Swimming is not going away. San Diego State has won many non-football Mountain West championships. It will definitely hurt San Diego State in the G5s.
Certainly, because the margins are so much smaller.
But I also think that's why a lot of these G5s are not going to participate in profit sharing. They're not going to participate in all of the money that's required. You don't have to participate. It's what I continue to tell you. San Diego State's a great example. Do you think San Diego State has $500 million sitting around to compete at the highest level of college football?
No.
I don't think they do. And if they did, do they want to spend that money on college? I didn't say athletics. I said college football. Who is the P4 that's going to opt out? Or I should say, who are the P4s?
Yeah, because there will be multiple.
I think there will be multiple that will opt out of playing major college football at the highest level. I think that is a possibility. No doubt about it. So, we'll see. I I just think that's an interesting discussion. That's all. I think it is very telling. It is very, very telling that you have these kids sitting in their dorm rooms getting emails and their dreams are dying. Because what do? You're already enrolled. You can't transfer. You can't go swim somewhere else.
Yeah, you're done. I mean, unless you just happen to have money or like a way to pay for school, that's your only option. Like, that's it. So if you don't have the money, you're done. You're moving out of the dorm and you're going home. Well, I'm not even kidding.
I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how they make that right. I don't know how you make them whole. I don't know. It's for me, I think it's terrible. Has NIL been good for college athletics?
I mean, I just think it hasn't been ironed out yet. I think that there's still so many unknowns with it. There's still so many questions that we're not even considering yet, and I think that it's all cool that Shador and all the top quarterbacks in the country and top players in college football are making all this money, but I think I don't think it's good for college athletics when you're doing what they're doing here. And I don't think it's good for college athletics when you don't have the small town sweetheart story, when a gymnast can't be a gymnast anymore because you cut the scholarship, or like whatever the example would be. I don't think that's good for college athletics. I don't think that it's right. Notice I'm not saying fair because fair doesn't exist, but I don't think it's right. It's not morally correct to accommodate the top earners in college football just to have the smaller, non-revenue generating sport athlete pay a price. That's the part that I think people struggle with.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are always unintended consequences. I've talked about that 1,000 times on the show. And kids getting emails in their dorm rooms telling them their scholarship has been ripped is an unintentional consequence. Unintended. Mayor McCluskey, I think University of Utah should opt out. Their football program is in shambles. What are you going to do,
bro,
if Utah beats BYU? The conversation after the show in the comment section about how BYU and Utah is not a good rivalry, I think you guys just don't know the rivalry.
Yeah.
I think people saying that it just is good. They're small school. BYU and Utah are not small schools. I think most of America does not understand the hate and vitriol in families across this state. And is there any greater indicator of that when Kalani Sitake is calling for calm? Is there any greater in what you sent me a video of Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah, Whit the media was pressing Whit about, hey, like, obviously it's Holy War week, weeks, if you will. And, what are you going to do with your quarterbacks? What's the plan? Because if you lose to BYU 30-10, that's probably not going to be accepted real well. If you can't move the ball against BYU's defense, probably not going to be accepted real well. And so you're sitting here having to ask Kyle Whittingham about Isaac or Brandon.
Yeah.
And it's not a great conversation. And Witt's just sitting there doing what he does best, giving you, well, it's 50-50. We'll see, like coach speaking the hell out of it. And I'm just sitting here saying, yeah, dude, this is one of the first times where I really do in my heart of heart feel like, yeah, I think Utah is outgunned in this game. They are.
Truly.
And you're going to have to have plays on defense to stay in it. Like you're going to have to, and obviously we'll get way deep on this game later in the week, but if you're Utah in this game, it's not an exaggeration to say you're going to have to score on defense to be in this game. And that's what concerns me as far as this game is concerned. Now, the thing that excites me is the scheming by the Utah defense will be by far the best defense Retzloff has seen this season. Like, that's not in question. So I do think there are opportunities to do some things defensively, but I just...
Did you see who Jim Rome had on his show yesterday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jake Retzloff. He's getting run. And while I've sat here and told you he's my goddamn quarterback, which he is, what I'm also telling you is BYU is riding an unbelievable high. An unbelievable high. And I think when we look at BYU and Utah, and I think when we start to get into what's on the line, who's on the line, like all this, I hope people understand that families will be broken over this game.
Yeah.
And the damage that will be done if Utah beats BYU, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Are you kidding me?
So the last time these two matched up, there was some heat to it, but the heat's nowhere near what it is for this game. And the reason that it's so ratcheted up for this game is obviously BYU's had huge success this year, right? I mean, unprecedented success in the Big 12 so far. But I also think the junk that BYU fan is talking is ratcheting up the fire. And I think it's justified. I think that BYU fan currently is riding high and feeling good. And I think Utah and Kyle Whittingham, Morgan Scalley are on a mission to win this game any way they can. And I'm telling you, the physicality in this game from that Utah defense will be on display. I'm telling you, they will be looking to make an impact physically, and there will be roughing the passer penalties. I'm telling you, that's going to happen.
The fact that the Fano brothers alone are at Utah, both of them.
Yes.
The fact that you have Isaac Wilson, who is his brother, obviously, Zach, played at BYU, was the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, the heat is there.
Yes.
And Geoff going on about how they burned wreaths on doors. I would just be careful if I were
BYU Christmas wreaths.
I would just be this. I'm asking you to keep calm and it's a football game. It's not life and death. There will be another one next week and actually the same game next year. It's not life and death. I would just encourage you to.
I think let's be civil is what we're trying to say. There's nothing wrong with talking junk.
Don't light
wrong.
people's houses on fire.
Yeah, like we don't need to be filing insurance claims over the Holy War, bro.
Don't pour beer on Max Hall's mom, who I think has Secret Service protection now.
Yeah, like we don't need to be taking it to that level. But it's not an exaggeration to say that it is true. If you don't live in Utah, you wouldn't know this. It's true that families don't speak during Holy War week, man. Like it is that intense in this state.
I agree.
I'm curious what shenanigans
are
going to be pulled by Utah fan in this game, because I do think that will be one of the storylines. Like the World Series last night, really quick. The World Series last night. You guys know the Mookie Betts moment, right? With the Yankee
what
fan.
were those fans doing?
But that's what I'm talking about. Why are you grabbing Mookie Betts? Why are you taking the ball out of his glove?
Did you guys see that cat and his buddy went to a bar afterwards and were given a hero's welcome? Because if you didn't see it, Mookie Betts reaches his arm into the stands, and these two fans are grabbing his glove. One of the fans actually grabbed his arm, and they pried the ball out of the glove.
Yeah.
The fan said, if he's coming into my section, we're going after it. Okay,
dude.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's cool. But my point is, do we get crazy pictures out of this game of Utah fan and BYU fan? Do we get, those, what I'm talking about with college football fan, man?
Yeah,
like,
I agree. All right. Every day on the show, we talk about the advocates at theadvocates.com. We tell you every day that this show is brought to you by the Advocates. Clear, risk-free advice. That's what you get when you go to the Advocates. If you've been in an accident, if you've gotten hurt at work, if you've had a slip and fall, you need to worry about getting back to the best version of yourself. That's why you go to the Advocates, where you never pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. So you don't have to worry about consultation fees or big retainers. In fact, you can chat with an injury attorney live online for free right now at theadvocates.com. But we also raise a hell of a lot of money on this show for the Advocates, which is why Rob Adams from Thanksgiving Heroes. Look at the glasses
Love
on
it.
Rob Adams.
Let's go.
Go Utes.
Rob, those are amazing. Are those Warby Parkers?
I don't even know. I just got these red ones. My inner child's like, get the red ones, and now I can't get rid of them.
So it's a whole motif, though. Let's be honest. You've got the red frames. You've got the handlebars. Like, I mean, you're rocking a whole thing here, man.
Well, it's good to be me, and that's the truth.
It is good to be you. Welcome to the Monty Show. I love what you guys do. Tell me what Thanksgiving Heroes is.
Well, it is a dream of mine. I was, I'll tell you just quickly the story. I was a kid growing up in South Texas, and it was right around the holidays, and someone came in and saved us. We were broke, living in our truck. They showed up, and they took care of my family, and it was so significant of an event. They took us into their home. They fed us. They loved us, and these were strangers. We didn't know who they were. It impacted that little 11-year-old boy so very much that I made a promise to my mom that one day when I grow up and I'm successful, I told her rich, which was code for not sleeping in our car back then. I had a different definition, that I was going to do this. And so 10 years ago, I had a goal to feed just 10 families. And when I say feed a family, we're delivering a box of 65 pounds of food right to their door. And I told my buddy, he's like, I'll do it. And our first year, we fed 755 families. Now, fast forward 10 years later, I'm doing this, and we're going to feed 3,000 families on the 23rd of November.
Wow. So I've talked about on this show the struggle of kids. Like we raised a bunch of money in the fall for school supplies. But if you think about, hey, what's it like to be a kid who doesn't go to school with a backpack? One of the things that I think that we don't recognize is kids go to school so they can eat, right? Like we're talking about this idea. So when you think back to that young boy that was living in that truck, what did it mean to you? And when we talk about impact, I think this is critically important. How much memory do you have of that moment, and what did it mean to you in that time, if you remember?
Oh, I do remember. I only ate at school, so I was just like one of those kids. And in South Texas, those Texas ladies, those Southern belles, boy, they would see me showing up with my tail just wagging, and they would load my tray up, and they fed me well. But when we would go home, there was no food. And so this family that took us in, actually, they lived in Utah, and they brought us into their house and said, hey, we're going to go home for the holidays. You guys just stay here. And when I opened the fridge, it was really, like, kind of blew my mind. I remember that pumpkin pie sitting on that shelf, staring me down. And I turned around to my mom, who was just bawling. And I just remember feeling like this is a big deal. This is a moment. And I will never forget it. I won't forget the name of the family that helped us. The smell, I mean, it's right there so much. And I guess my goal would be to do this for other kids. Wouldn't it be great if you were to deliver a meal to a family and that little boy, that little Robbie, was just like, this is meaningful. I can get behind this and do this. And so it's been a wild ride. I only had a goal to do it 1 year. And I had families calling me that we helped the year before, that first year, saying, hey, it was either pay rent or buy food. And we're on our feet this year. We want to pay it forward. And that's the moment I was like, wow, that's what it's about. It's not about the food. It's about the opportunity to contribute and serve.
Yeah, Rob, I feel like in our world, like on social media and the things that we digest every day as people, we don't really get a lot of access to people's struggles, obviously, right? Like on social media, we see the best of the world. Everyone's got the nicest car, the nicest clothes, the nicest everything. Yeah. And I'm just curious in hearing you talk about this, like in your experience, how much of a problem, or how many of these situations do we have?
How real is it?
Yeah, how real is this in our world? Because this is a really impactful program, and that's why on the show we're so passionate about working with the advocates. But in your experience, how real is this problem in our world right now?
That is such a great question. When I first started 10 years ago, the numbers were 1 in 10 kids didn't eat unless they were at school. And back then it blew my mind. I'm like, this isn't Detroit. We're in this. I mean, look in Utah, we are chubby. There's no reason there should be hungry kids. And now they released the new hunger numbers this year. It's 1 in 6 kids. And so the need is greater than ever. And I believe it's because the cost of groceries are up 51%.
1 in 6 kids.
1 in 6 kids. And so that means one of your kids' friends, someone they sit next to, someone is struggling, and so it's more prevalent than I would like to suggest. Like, I don't know if our eyes are open, and so that's a big deal that everyone should know. This is huge.
1 in 6 kids.
Yeah.
I live in a neighborhood packed with kids, and the things that we take for, I mean, I take an energy drink for granted. I don't want to eat sweet potatoes. I want to eat, like, I have my choice of food. You're right. We're chubby in this world. And in this state, I'm curious, when you put all this together and you talk about the sheer dollars and cents of this project. And if you look right here on the screen, slc.thanksgivingheroes.org, when you think about that, like, how much are we talking about, like, money-wise, effort-wise? Like, what do you need, Rob? How can we help you guys?
Oh my gosh. That question, you got me. Thank you for asking that question. It cost me about, I haven't got the final numbers, but between $80 and $100 to feed a family of 5 for a week. If you think about that, that's a pretty dang good deal. If you just go to the burger joint down the street, you're out $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of food, 65 pounds of food to be delivered right to their house. I need about $134,000 in the next 24 days to buy these groceries and serve these families. Now, that's a huge number.
$134,000.
That's right. The reason I throw that number out there,
Rob, how do you do that?
Because people like you are helping me spread the word. If you go to this website, you can nominate a family in your neighborhood. You can volunteer to deliver food, or just donate $10, $20. If each of us did $10 or $20, which is nothing in today's world, I would hit that number. And here's the truth of the thing. It's a miracle is happening today. Be a part of this miracle, because my partnership with the advocates, my conversation with you, is letting people know that it doesn't take a lot for you to make a big difference in the world. We're going to change these people's lives forever. And it happens every year. Right before Halloween, I have this moment of like, holy crap, I'm in trouble. We've got to come up with this money. And every year the miracle shows up. I'm waiting for the miracle, and that might be you.
I not to be a tearjerker, but I wonder, like, how many faces do you remember? Because we've participated.
So many.
We've done this on our show where we've asked people who need help to, hey, let us know. We're happy to provide you Thanksgiving. Like, and the thing that I remember with the people that we've helped is, like, giving Christmas gifts to a parent that they're going to give to their kid. And you just see the emotion and the weight that you're lifting off of them, because they don't want their kid not to have pumpkin pie, not to have potatoes. Like, do you remember the faces? Do you remember the emotion and the impact that box of food has on those adults?
I'll tell you, that's what actually keeps me going. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. And those faces is what gets me going. It gets me out of bed early and keeps me up late, because they're counting on us to make a difference. They're counting on us to show up. And it's more than just the faces of the families receiving the food. It's not a food bank where the families come and pick up food. Your family actually gets to deliver that family to them. And so your family, your kids go from entitlement to gratitude right before the holidays. It changes everyone. And the thing that's interesting that I've been learning in the last year or two is that the 3 or 4 families that you get, a lot of the families that deliver the food are kind of in an interview process and saying, you know what, that one family, we really connected with them. Let's do a sub for Santa with them. And they stay connected and they continue to serve one another. This community that we're creating, the Pay It Forward community, we're ready for it. The world needs this connection. Like, I feel like everyone I talk to is like, how do I get involved? There's no, how does it work? And what's the budget? It's just like, I want to help. This will be amazing. And it is.
1 in 6 kids. That wows me. Like, I can't believe that. And I think for a lot of us, your question about how real it is, and Rob, I just think we don't think about it. We go to work, we get up every day, we eat our breakfast, we go to work, we come home. Like,
we're stuck in our reality.
I think we're so rhythmic, man, that we don't think about the fact that there are kids who are not going to have turkey on Thanksgiving that we take for granted, or I'm not going to eat those sweet potatoes. You know how many kids that love yams or would love russets or like, it's amazing. So your biggest need obviously is financial with $134,000. slc.thanksgivingheroes.org. Is that the best way to donate?
That's the best way to donate. When you go in there, be sure you click on Salt Lake. The amazing thing about this organization, when I had my goal to feed 10 families, is it's growing throughout the country. We're going to be in Buffalo and Sturgis. And so be sure you're clicking on the right place so that you're getting the money locally to families that need it.
That's awesome. Rob, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that story. That 1 in 6 number hit me, dude. Like that is tragedy to me, that 1 in 6 kids.
Too many.
I can't believe it, but keep doing you, dude. I really appreciate everything you've done. You have my email. You have my contact information. I would love to connect with you. I would love to help you deliver food this year. Let's keep in touch. And please, if you're watching this, get to Rob's website, slc.thanksgivingheroes.org. Click on Salt Lake, and $5, $10, $20, $50, whatever you can do, please donate. Rob, good to meet you, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. There you go. Wow. 1 in 6 kids. You
Hey,
guys.
I mean, I just need to put this out there. Like, we have the resources on this show to go out and make a big impact on that number.
Wow.
The
guy needs $134,000.
There are, like, I'm just going to say it right now, on this show, we have hundreds of thousands of views a month on this channel. And it takes $5, $10 a person, a viewer, to go out and get that done. And the cool thing is, obviously, we have a huge following in Salt Lake. But if you're in a different market, as Rob said, this is not just unique to Salt Lake.
This is not a Salt Lake City problem.
Yeah, this is a problem where I'm just telling you, that 1 in 6 number, the first thing that I think about is that's just too many, man. That there's no reason for that many folks to be without. Like,
I can't believe
we can change that.
He said 1 in 6, you guys. Look out the front door. Look at the trick-or-treaters tomorrow. 1 in 6 of those kids.
Yeah.
And I just, man, let's do it. I encourage you. And if you use Venmo, the advocates give 100% of the money you Venmo them to Rob in this endeavor. Send them a Venmo. And I don't care if you mention our name or not. It does not matter.
Yeah, let's stop doing free memberships and stuff like that for the show.
Yeah,
let's take that money and put it into this.
And we're going to talk, you guys, if it's in your heart and in your wallet, is what I always say, please, I'm asking you to do that. 1 in 6 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's hurtful, dude. Like, I can't.
And by the way, if you are local in Salt Lake or any of these other areas, I think his point about, hey, you can deliver this box of food to those families, and you can give your kids the opportunity to go make an impact for someone else's family, I think is such a phenomenal opportunity.
And if you've been a long time on this show, you know that we do this every year. We adopt families and listeners, and there's a lot of people that need help. Let's do it through the advocates. Let's do it through this Thanksgiving Heroes program, because they're doing great work. And I think his story that he was one of these kids in a pickup truck on Thanksgiving, that's where it starts. Your money that you donate, that's where it starts. Hook it up. If you have it in your heart, you have it in your wallet. And I mean, $5, $10, let's chip away at that $134,000. And we may not get all of that, but let's get as much of it as we can. Donate on Venmo, Advocates Donations. Advocates Donations. You can check out Rob's website if you like. slcthanksgivingheroes.org. www.slc.thanksgivingheroes.org. Donate if you can, please.
Yeah.
And again, this is why we work with the advocates. And I know you guys think that everything's about money. It's not about money. They're working in our community. This is what I've known the advocates since 2013. Matt Driggs and that group of folks have supported my show for that long. And I can tell you that their hearts are in the community. And when we're talking about, you know how it is, we raise school clothes money. We raise Sub for Santa money. We raise Thanksgiving Heroes money. This is why we work with the advocates. They're great attorneys. When you've been in an accident, 100%, no question. But when you really need food on Thanksgiving, the advocates are in the community working. This is what I love about those guys. Hook it up. You can go to that website. You can make a donation on Venmo. Excuse me, right there is the Advocates Venmo. I don't even care if you shout us out. Obviously, I'd love the Advocates to know that we're working on their behalf. But my goodness, 1 in 6 kids. I don't mean to keep saying that.
Yeah, it's just a huge number, though. I mean, it
right.
is,
That seems like so many.
It is an absolute, absolute.
There you go,
Glenn Holbert.
San Diego State Glenn. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. That we're 1 in 6. Glenn, thank you for your donation. Maybe Friday we do Giving Friday again.
Yeah, I'm serious though about
1 in 6 kids.
And I don't mean this to come across as any type of criticism at all, right? Like
at all.
The Calfords of the world or any of you guys who donate memberships on a regular basis. Every time during this time of year that you think about wanting to donate a membership, I want you to put that money into this program.
Even if it's the $2 that you were going to donate.
Yeah, like it doesn't like, because these kids, I would rather that money go towards, I think, what did he say? 65 pounds of food.
A box, yeah.
A box with 65 pounds of food during this time of year, man.
They sent me I have some pictures that I can share with you guys. And the other thing is, listen, if you're in the position to help, I would really ask you to go and don't deliver food. It is incredibly humbling. And again, only because we've done this on our show. It is incredibly humbling when you meet people who, do you know how difficult it is to say, I need help? Have you guys thought about that at all? How difficult is it to say, and think about your life? Because I mean, none of us are that far away from this.
No.
Have you guys thought about what it's like to be a man and say to yourself, your wife, because you can't tell me that these couples don't lay in bed and think to themselves, how are we going to do Thanksgiving? How are we going to, here we are sleeping in our van. How are we going to do this? This is 65 pounds of food right here. A turkey. Look at the bag of potatoes, stuffing, celery,
the rolls,
olives, canned food, green beans, the rolls, milk, the basic necessities. And you can't tell me that these parents don't stretch this food over more than just Thanksgiving.
Yeah. How long think about this? That's a great point. How long does Thanksgiving leftovers last you usually? Like, you tell me that most of us don't throw out some of our Thanksgiving leftovers? Man,
that hurts.
You know what I mean? Like these families, I would agree, are going to stretch this out. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the amount of food that they're able to procure with the donation. So that's why I'm saying, man, like, I think that sometimes and I was serious. That's why I brought up social media when I asked him that question, because I think all we do all day as people, most of us, is we look at social media and we see the best of everything. We see the nicest car, the cool clothes, the nicest house.
Yeah.
We don't see people out here struggling or any of this.
And you guys, I talked about this, and I got a lot of criticism, and I don't think I've detailed this, but I got a lot of criticism because I said, imagine what it's like for kids going back to school and all of their friends that have new clothes, and you're living in a car and your jeans are torn and you don't have underwear. And people were upset that I said that. I'm telling you, that's reality. It's not hyperbole anymore when we're talking about 1 in 6 kids. I don't mean to go on about this. I know it's been 20 minutes, but I'm asking you, if it's anywhere in your heart, please donate.
Yeah.
Because that is Justin Solace. Dude, I was one of those kids and I didn't have food growing up. I appreciate that.
You see what I mean? Like,
I appreciate that so much. Donate on Venmo right here. Advocates donations.
It's crazy to me when you put it in terms of, like, instead of saying 1 in 6, if you put it in terms like he did of, hey, that means that one of your kids' friends is going through this.
Yeah.
That's insanely close to home.
Yeah. Loner Phone says, I take pride in how awesome our community is. Yeah. Giggity. I wonder what could be done for the kids with the money given to Ryan effing Smith. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Like that's wild to me. Kurt Myers. Hello, Kurt Myers.
What's
Good
up,
to
buddy?
see you. All right. Let me just reset it one more time before we move on, because we do need to get to NFL real quick here. Here's the website for Thanksgiving Heroes. Rob we got to have him back on. What a good dude.
Yeah.
www.slc.thanksgivingheroes.org. You can donate there, or you can donate to the Advocates. The Advocates take all of that money you donate. They give it right to Rob and his organization. They buy food. They deliver. We're going to volunteer this year. We're going to deliver food. We're going to be humble. We're going to do this. We need to help people. We have a wealth of riches. The funny thing is, I was sitting here before he came on thinking, damn, dude, I'm hungry. I'm super excited to go upstairs and make my oats. Like 1 in 6 kids. 1 in 6 kids, it doesn't know where their food's coming from. Hook it up. Advocates donations. Friday, we're going to do an entire donation show on Friday.
Yeah.
And let's rock and roll. Let's do it. All right. Appreciate you guys sitting through that with us. Thank you. A couple things in the NFL I want to get to. This story I've talked about a million times. Anthony Richardson benched by the Indianapolis Colts. And if you didn't see it, Anthony Richardson, who I will tell you straight away, and I've told you since day one, he's not an NFL quarterback. He does not have the acumen. He does not have the football IQ, which is to say he does not diagnose defenses well. He is a guy that's an athlete who's faster than most people, runs, but does not, in my opinion, have the ability to think through progressions and throw the ball down the field. 3rd and goal. He runs to the right on 2nd down. It is 3rd and goal. And what does Anthony Richardson do? Taps the side of his helmet, which is universal language for I want out of the game. Send in another quarterback. He quit on his team, Anthony Richardson did. And it is, in football culture, unforgivable to quit on your football team. It is unthinkable that you are the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts and you quit on that team. It is unthinkable, because that's what he did. And maybe I'm making too much out of this. I don't think that I am. Anthony Richardson quit on his team. And I don't believe that if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you can ever have him start another game for you. I think it's over. I think it's done. He has showed you he doesn't want to work hard. He showed you he's the guy that'll take the elevator instead of taking the stairs. He is the guy that hits the easy button. And what did he say? Oh, I was hurt. Oh, my arm, my shoulder, no, what did he say? Oh, I was tired. That was a lot of running around. That was his excuse for this. Anthony Richardson said, oh, no, man, I was tired. That was a lot of running around. I needed a break. Jake, I don't think he can ever play for the Colts again. Am I making too much of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't disagree with the sentiment. I would agree that, as a quarterback, you're basically the only position on the field that doesn't substitute on a down in, down out basis. You're the leader of your team. You're the guy orchestrating the offense. Like, there's no reason to ever say, hey, you're not a running back, dude. You're not a wide receiver where you have 3-4 guys in one room working to make sure that position's full. Like, you're the guy. You're supposed to be this great quarterback. And it's frustrating for me because I was a big fan of his. Felt like, hey, he had a lot of talent, big body quarterback. They just need to develop him a little bit and get him to understand that you can't just play backyard football the entire game. You can't just run around and throw the ball all over the place and think that that's going to work for you. You have to be better than that. And so this whole thing of, hey, he quit on his team. Yeah, I do think that during that play, he quit on his team. Yeah, you left the field because you were tired. I'm sorry, but that's not good enough. We've seen guys like Matt Stafford and Brady and all the great quarterbacks in the league play through injury after injury, fatigue after fatigue, and we're just fine. And so for me, yeah, I don't love this for Anthony Richardson. And as far as him never starting for you again, I would agree that would be the nice thing to be able to do. Unfortunately, the Colts are not in that position. The Colts, this is a high draft pick. This is someone that they thought would be the stopper of the quarterback carousel for their team since Andrew Luck retired, and he's just not been that guy. So as far as benching him, I do agree with the decision. I think Joe Flacco is perfectly positioned here to go out and do what he does every single year. What's the date? Oh, that's right. It's October 30th, And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get this team moving in the right direction as we head into November, as Joe Flacco does every single year. So I think for the Colts as an organization, it was really smart to have Joe on your roster. And they're going to have to figure out what to do with Anthony Richardson moving forward, because this nonsense about, oh, well, there was a lineman on him and, he had to move that lineman after running all over the place. That's all excuses, bro. That you're playing football, man. You're not playing golf, man. You're not playing, racquetball. Like, this is football, man. There's going to be people on you. And at some point, you have to step up and, number one, be able to stay healthy. But number two, develop into someone who actually is playing NFL caliber football, because right now this dude is just playing backyard football, and that's never been a success story in the league.
It is a 3rd and goal in the third quarter, late in the third quarter against the Texans, a huge game, and your answer of I was tired is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now apparently they are going to bench him and start Joe Flacco Sunday, which is exactly what I would do. I would not have him play for my football team again.
Yeah.
I would not. That's just... Yeah, I agree. He's out. He'll be a great backup somewhere else. I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
I just don't know as a quarterback. Like, think about what this says about Anthony Richardson. Obviously, it doesn't say good things, but I want you guys to consider something. This is a dude who played in the SEC. This is someone who played, and I know Florida's not been great of late, but that's still an SEC caliber program you're playing in. He was the dude there. And the problem is that what we're now coming to find out, and to your credit, you've always criticized this dude, but what's surprising to me is you played SEC football, and now you come to the league as this hotshot draft pick, and to me, 100%. It's clear that he thought it was going to be easy. Like, he thought that he was going to come into this league, and he was going to be able to do exactly what he did at Florida, because nothing's changed. This guy's playing Florida Gator football at Lucas Oil Stadium. That's what this dude is doing. He's running around and just doing whatever he wants. You could call a nice, easy over route across the field, and dude would run out left to try to make the play. That's his problem, man. So the idea that he would quit on his team, or that he thinks it's okay to sub out, speaks to exactly who this dude was in college, and they haven't fixed it, clearly.
Yeah, I just don't think he was ever an NFL quarterback. I thought it was a mistake from the jump that they drafted him. I mean, number 4 in the I think 2023 draft.
I believe that's correct. Yes,
that's wild. I think it's a huge mistake, in my opinion, and I would bench him. The stadium guy, James, $25 for the Advocates. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. What are you sending me?
His donation.
His donation. Okay. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. I think it is, man, I can't get over that 1 in 6 number, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuck in my mind that 1 in 6 kids are hungry in our community. That's crazy. There you go. Thank you. Thanksgiving donation, Monty Show, Go Frogs beat Baylor. Thank you, James. I appreciate. Well, we probably shouldn't.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Quick question. Your wife's a Baylor fan, no? Why are you rooting against Baylor?
Because he's a TCU student now.
Oh, is that true?
Yes. That's where he's getting an upper.
Man, I just can't keep up, bro.
I can't keep up either.
Yeah.
Loner phone, he can learn from that poor decision to quit, or is it indicting a team must move on? So self-indicting a team must move on. Curious to not know the answer. We won't know the answer for a while on that, in my opinion, anyway. So
yeah, it's just a rough look, dude. I don't know. Like, NFL franchises at some point are going to have to learn the concept that just because somebody can run around at the college level and make plays and have a good season doesn't mean that skill set necessarily translates to the league. And that's the problem that I think so many franchises face. I mean, this has been going on for decades. I mean, this is like, ever since I have been watching college football, we've seen draft picks like this. I mean, look no further than, RG3 or I mean, there's a million examples, right? I mean, DTR from UCLA, where's he been?
DTR on the bench.
Like, you're looking at a lot of these young guys who are great athletes, but it doesn't pan out. And then we get Jaden Daniels, who runs for effect and plays pocket passing QB and is one of the most prolific quarterbacks we have this season.
Yeah, I think, huge. By the way, did you guys hear that Stephon Diggs is out for the year? That was indeed a torn ACL.
It's tough, bro.
That's a tough loss. Yeah. Very tough loss. All right. There you go. The Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Make your Venmo donations, Advocates donations. 1 in 6 kids is fighting hunger this holiday season. We can change that. They're trying to raise $134,000 between now and Thanksgiving. Hook it up. Advocates donations. Giving Friday, this Friday on the Monty Show. We'll be back. A lot more football tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be here to tell you Pitt's going to lose. You know. I'm amazed how many comments we're getting on Pitt.
And this is a Pitt show.
This is a Pitt, that's right. This is a Pitt show now.
Yeah.
The Pitt Tigers.
Yeah.
It's a Pitt Panthers.
Yeah.
I should probably go. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.